Hi everybody, today I'm going to be doing a review of the Gerber EAB Lite. This is a very small, inexpensive pocket knife that takes replaceable blades. I'd probably call these Stanley blades. They're often called utility blades too, especially over in America, but that's the sort of blades that they are. As you can see, this is a very small knife, very small knife. If we throw the whole thing closed up against the blade of an XM18 3.5 inch, yeah, it's very, very small. And grip area wise, yeah, also very small. There's how much of my hand I need. Yeah, you can see that you're not going to be able to get a full grip on there. Or at least that's how it looks, and then you open it. And this piece hinges out, which gives you somewhere to put your front finger. Which is very, very good. Very, very clever. I like that a great deal. Anyway, size comparisons. Here it is against a cheap, ugly knife that also takes these same replacement blades. As you can see, it is a lot smaller, a lot thinner, a lot lighter. A QSP Parrot, simply because it's in about the same price category. There you go. Spyderco UK PK, since a lot of people have them in this country. There's your sizes there, and an Ontario Rat Model 1 because it's a very popular knife. As you can see, if you line up the grip length, including this opened area, you're actually not too far off the grip length on a Rat 1. A bit, yes, but not a million miles. Which is quite good, obviously, in terms of blade length. Yeah, it's going to be very short in terms of blade length, but that's just the nature of the beast here. So the standard EAB weighs 2.2 ounces. However, this is not the standard EAB. This is the EAB Lite. It is spelled L-I-T-E, not light, but that's what it's called. And this Lite model weighs 2.5 ounces, which is 0.3 of an ounce heavier than the non-light one. Doesn't really make much sense to me, but that's what they've done. Maybe it should be the EAB heavy. This knife isn't as easy to open as some. The screw here provides you some grip to be able to open it with one hand. It certainly isn't as easy to open with one hand as something with thumb studs. Definitely not. But it is openable with one hand, absolutely. I don't know if I could get it with my left hand without... Oh yeah, if I push it out with those fingers. Yes. It is openable with one hand. The liner lock sticks out a little bit here. It manages to not be uncomfortable. I don't get a hot spot off the liner lock, which is surprising for a liner lock that sticks out like this. But it does make it quite easy to close. It's a very easy to access liner lock, so that's quite good. Other than that, lock-wise, there's a tiny bit of play. It's an inexpensive knife. I'm not too bothered about the little bit of play that is here on this knife. Materials wise, I actually don't entirely know. I mean, obviously it's metal. I assume it's an aluminium. And the blades, well, that just depends on whatever blade you put in it. So there's not really very much to say here about the materials. Build quality wise, it's a £15 Chinese knife. You know, it's kind of what you would expect. If you're talking build quality, really something like the QSP Parrot, which is why it's out here, that's an £18 knife. This is way nicer built than this. But this is batting way above its price category. This little Gerber is probably not too terrible given its price category. The pocket clip is okay. They kind of try and advertise it as a money clip as well. Other people have pointed out, and I agree, that there is not much room under here if you're trying to carry money underneath it. Brighter background to show you that on. Yeah, you can see there is not a lot of space underneath that pocket clip there. As a pocket clip though, it works okay. It works fine. I just took it in and out of my pocket there. It's relatively easy to get in and out. It is obviously pretty wide and pretty clear in your pocket, and it does say Gerber on it. It is absolutely not the clearest, and it doesn't really stand out as you're carrying it, but it's still a very big, wide, prominent clip. I mean, far bigger knives with far smaller, less obvious pocket clips. But in terms of in and out your pocket and holding it in your pocket, the pocket clip works fine. The blade here is obviously somewhat different to talking about a blade on a knife that I would more normally review. The big advantage of these blades is of course that they are replaceable, which can be very helpful. Even though I don't really tend to shy away from using rather knives like this new XM18, this is going to get some serious use and some serious wear on the blade over time. Yes, but if I had to, for example, cut up the carpet in the room that I'm in at the moment, there's carpet nails and stuff in there, and I just wouldn't want to do it with a knife like this. Not because I'm really terribly afraid of damaging the blade, but because you put chips and wear and stuff on a hard steel like that, it's a long time and a lot of process resharpening it. And even cheaper steels like this, you still need to resharpen. More frequently than you do even with more expensive steels, but they are easier to resharpen, of course, usually. However, it is still something else that you need to do, and should you chip it and damage it, you can be spending a long time sharpening even if you are using a cheaper steel. So in situations like that, I'd far rather use a small utility bladed knife like this, and if you do wreck the blade, then you can just throw it out and get a new one. This is a relatively new one in at the moment, a made in Sheffield one. They've been quite good blades as far as we can tell. But yes, I think something like this lends itself very, very well to being put in a different pocket from your kind of more standard knife. So, for example, I might well carry this some days and put this in another pocket in case I need to cut through something very unpleasant that's just going to make a mess of a knife that I'm going to have to spend ages resharpening, when you can just replace the blade. In terms of replacing the blade, it is not the fastest. Something like this, big, ugly, horrible, cheap thing, you just push a button and the blade comes out, and you put it back in, you push the button and the blade goes back in and it's replaced. Here you do have to undo this screw, which I guess is kind of a pain, but it's not really an issue. For me in particular and how I use this, I don't view it as an issue. If you're going to be using a Stanley knife all day, every day, and you're going through 10 blades a day or something crazy, then yeah, you probably want a faster way to replace your blades. But I don't really see that as what this is for, because even though I think it is ergonomically very good, it's still very thin, and it's not going to be the most comfortable thing to use for an extremely prolonged period of time. So for that reason, I view this more as kind of a backup knife or an EDC. It could easily be a kind of light use EDC knife as a replacement for something like this, or a backup, which is how I would tend to carry it. However, in either of those situations, you won't be replacing the blade quite as often as you would should you be working in construction and using a utility bladed knife all day. So that's how I view it. I don't think the screw to replace a blade is really a big issue. However, if you look at the design here, compared to something like this, the top piece here sticks out quite far. And that does mean that you can't really cut terribly deeply into things. You can cut into about that depth. And that tends to be the standard for this kind of knife, but that is a disadvantage that you have to bear in mind over something like this, which would allow you to cut the full depth of that blade into something if you needed to. So I think that's it for the blade. Well, obviously, of course, these blades will corrode far quicker as well. It's not really an issue if you're willing to just throw them out. Like I said, ergonomically, it's quite good. Space efficiency wise, I think it's also quite good. It is, like I said before, has this extra finger trowel piece on it. It gives you a full grip on a small knife. It's very compact in your pocket. Yes, I think ergonomically it's quite good. In terms of value for money, they are about £16 in this country at the moment. I believe you can get them for under $10 in the US. I think it's pretty good. I find it hard to pick flaws with it at that price point. For me, it just is a great backup kind of knife. If I'm doing some construction type thing, I might well put this in a back pocket or something like that, or a bag even, and you've got a small light utility bladed knife that you can use for things that you wouldn't want to use your good knife for, or if you perhaps don't have sharpening stones or aren't comfortable with sharpening your own knives and you want a knife that you can obviously keep sharp by replacing the blades, then yeah, this might be something that's worth considering for you. I absolutely do recommend it for those reasons. Yeah, I think it's really pretty good. At the price point, you're not losing too much, and I absolutely believe it's a pretty good way of carrying a Stanley knife blade. So there you go, that's going to be it today. Thanks for watching. Bye.